production facility. Goods are being shipped out to various places every day. Small things, large things, light things, heavy things. Transport is a part of every workplace. Where people work, there is always some mode of transport. Transport refers to moving objects from one place to another. Sometimes hands, or other times easier modes of transportation can be used. If there are no problems with the many objects that must be transported every day, operations proceed without a hitch. This video will show us that transport accidents in the workplace are avoidable. We will look at the root of transportation problems and eliminate them. Every workplace is the same. Goods must be moved around. Mastered and skilled transport operations run smoothly. That is because each of the people involved knows what they need to do.
Yes, that's right. Because what could have been done in one trip is meticulously broken down into two. However, the problem is not the skill, it's the method. The skilled transport operation does not lose the opportunity to hitch a ride. What they need to know is that it is simply method. Secure transport ensures smooth production. However, what you need to know is the method. You're going to use brute strength? You need to learn the method. At times, you will have to roll the objects to get them where you want them to go. The problem is the method. Other times, a means of transport is needed. Sometimes, wheels are the fastest way to go. However, the problem is the method.
You need to know the right method. We've shown you the incorrect transport methods so far. However, after viewing these examples, you might have found yourself saying, I would never do that. And you think you no longer need to watch this video. You've already mastered transport skills. However, many of you will need to look at this tape over and over to learn the proper methods. Many of you already know the proper techniques. However, the factory is always a busy place. When you're in a rush, you even forget about the most obvious things, like the most basic things such as your safety helmet, gloves, and protective clothing. Those who forget to protect themselves by putting on their personal protective equipment will get themselves hurt. Yes, like here. All accidents begin with a very simple mistake. Boxes piled up in the path of the transport vehicle will cause traffic accidents. Thinking that this will bother other people, you get out to move them. But this is very dangerous, and you can cause an accident. This kind of transport-related accidents occur very frequently in the workplace. More surprising is that heavy or complex things do not cause many of the accidents. Rather, many accidents are caused by lightweight, simple, and small objects. Of all transport-related accidents, most, 45%, occur when objects are lifted and moved by hand. Forklifts come in second at 36%, cars at 9%, lifting equipment at 7% and others at 3%. Almost half of the accidents that occur when moving objects occur when they are moved by hand. Therefore, that is the first thing we should talk about in this film.
Hands are easily injured. Therefore, no matter how small or light the object we are carrying, we must put on the proper gloves. The skin of the hands are very sensitive, and our hands are our most important tool.
If you bend over and lift an object to carry, you can cause serious damage to your back and spine. When bending down to pick something up, you should bend first at your knees with your back straight. Then lift the object with your legs, keeping your back straight. Remember, the legs are our strongest muscles.
Look at this weightlifter. He bends his legs and then picks up the weight using his legs. This is the correct method. He's a third-time world champion, so he must be doing something right.
No matter what we carry, the object should never be carried higher than eye level, or else it impedes our vision.
And also remember that it is better to make 2 trips than to cause 1 accident. Also, don't try to show off your strength using an improper technique. Ask for help. This is not a sign of laziness, but rather proof of your safety knowledge.
Rolling objects in this way is safe. Don't place your hands at the ends, but in the middle. Place gas tanks properly on a cart before transporting.
As we can see here, dangerous chemicals are contained in canisters and must be transported with care.
When transporting long objects like this, the shorter worker should be in front and the taller worker in back, and transport is made on verbal commands.
If you are not carrying or transporting any objects, make sure that you walk only in the areas marked for pedestrians and stay away from paths reserved for transport vehicles.
If all people followed the proper paths, they would not get in the way of others. Our muscles allow us to do many things, and at times, they're the only way we can really move things around. Many accidents accompany spontaneous transport operations. Remember that almost 50% of accidents occur when we carry things by hand. Before that, always keep in mind the safety rules and think of the safest possible method. Our next topic is transport vehicles. Transport vehicles aid in the movement of objects from one place to another. They include handcarts, electric cars, forklifts, and trucks. Simply put, these are just another means of moving things around. Safe transport starts with safe steering. Before operating these vehicles, even if it is a very simple handcart, make sure that there's no visible damage. Try the automatic brake. Is the emergency brake okay? Everything okay? Good. The inspection is complete. Check the brake light. Yeah, looks okay. Even the vehicles that have passed inspection must be checked over every day before they are used. For example, check and see if the brake light comes on when the brake is depressed. Looks like he found something. There's an oil leak. Looks like we need to get this thing fixed right away. Good. If you find something that looks suspicious, send the vehicle to the service factory right away. Expert repairs are the responsibility of a specialist.
Never try to fix it yourself. Temporary solutions will result in an accident.
If the vehicle looks okay, load the objects. Proper loading of the equipment entails proper balance. In other words, the load should be properly distributed on all the wheels.
Always keep your hands on the handles. Feet should always be protected when moving objects by wearing the proper shoes.
Proper loading of objects entails that nothing falls, rolls, or drags while moving. Don't load too many objects and don't load them too high.
Also, when steering from the top of an incline, use a cart or wagon designed for cargo and never get up on top. You saw what happened earlier.
This kind of press tool is very dangerous. Get together a group of people to distribute the weight when transporting. Pulling and pushing is easier than lifting and carrying. Easier, too, is using a motorized vehicle. With the proper training, you'll be able to use these easier methods of transport. You will also have to have a proper license. May I see your license? Yeah, here you go. Thank you. Let's take a closer look. Yes, thank you. This license verifies that this person is over 19 years of age, has passed the driver's exam, and has been given the proper certification to operate this transport vehicle for the company. Thanks. Forklifts and other transport vehicles are rampant in the workplace. The driver must practice defensive driving. This is because in the workplace, the driver will be operating the vehicle in close proximity to other workers. The vehicle should always be operated below 16 kilometers per hour. However, this speed should be reduced when operating at night, at crosswalks, and near entrances and exits.
The most important safety rule is that the driver always be cognizant of their fellow employees.
How about carrying passengers on a forklift? If you're driving a forklift with only one seat, it doesn't matter if your closest friend is begging for a ride. Your answer should always be no. There is no compensation for any accidents that occur from carrying passengers on the vehicle. The forklift introduces a great deal of danger to the workplace. Forklifts not only carry objects from here to there, it easily and securely lifts heavy objects. The forklift moves around easily, but the vehicle itself is heavy. The load that the forklift can carry depends on the balance of the vehicle and the distance between the wheels and the load.
Let's look at an example. If the load is far removed from the wheel's axis, the vehicle will overturn. This is because the load is not properly balanced on the vehicle.
If the load had been properly balanced and close to the wheels, this could have been avoided.
The driver must remember to operate the vehicle keeping in mind the load that they are carrying, and their field of vision must be unobstructed to prevent any accidents.
When driving the vehicle on a hill, whether you're going up or down, the load must be carried on the hillside.
When driving the vehicle over a hill or a pothole, the vehicle must be driven very slowly to prevent loss of balance.
Do you know why there are so many onlookers behind the forklift? And I'll show you why. At times, the forklift must be operated in this direction. Before backing up, always check the rear. The rear of the forklift can move in all directions. However, the body of the vehicle at times will collide with corners or edges. Okay, now let's talk about another matter related to this. Don't stand too close to the forklift as I am now. Let's start the forklift. Yes. The forklift rotates as it starts up. Distance is safety. Let me turn your attention to another safety point. Follow me.
Don't not use the forklift like an elevator.
Up to the metal gate there.
Right, not like this.
However, this platform has handrails, guards, and other safety devices installed. But it should only be used for short periods of time, like for repairs. This is not a service repair.
When you are finished with a forklift, it must be parked in the area made for transport vehicles, and the driver must remove the key. And the driver must remove the key. The driver must remove the key.
This removes the temptation from other workers who want to try their hand at driving the forklift.
These objects, which are only being used as an example, need to be placed on these different shelves.
Using the vehicle for placing these objects on the shelf, the experienced worker, who works in a deep and narrow passageway, works along with the computer specialist. Through the aid of the computer, the worker knows the structure of each shelf.
The thing that must be remembered here is to take out the key. This prevents other workers from coming into this area.
However, not all companies have computer-operated areas like this. These loads are not carried only for the purposes of piling up in high places. They are piled up here to prevent accidents that occur from falling or rolling objects. This is the first rule in accident prevention. When storing objects on a shelf, the following three things must be remembered. First, the objects should be stored in such a way that they will not fall. Second, objects should be placed on the appropriate shelf. Third, objects should not exceed the maximum holding capacity of the shelf. When objects are piled on the ground should be completely flat and secure.
Further security comes in piling these objects much like a bricklayer lays bricks, overlapping one another.
Also, more securing fixtures can be added to these objects. Sheet iron and pipes require another totally different skill. These should be placed vertically and should not slip down.
Cylindrical objects should be stored so that there is no danger of them rolling away.
Whatever objects are being stored, they should always be placed in a secure area. Objects should not be piled in the driveway. Objects should not be placed here, or here, or here, or there. This is because the objects will cause a barricade in the event of emergency evacuation and will block the way for the fire department.
Here are the precautionary measures for lifting equipment.
Specialized personnel should always handle large equipment. These workers have undergone specialized training and are used to handling this equipment. These workers organize a team when loading objects. Before lifting the objects, they first verify the appropriate load and capacity of the equipment. Only then do they install the proper lifting equipment to the load.
This is a very important step in using lifting equipment.
Operators of these types of equipment communicate with each other fully. If the lifted object needs to be carried over the working equipment, they sound a clear warning to their co-workers. precautionary steps do not always ensure safety. Real workplaces lift and transport more than this hollow pipe that we used here for our example. There are times when very strangely shaped objects need to be transported. Proper balance, the proper center of gravity, and the proper placement of the rope. These are all things that we will experiment with.
You will be able to experiment with this model here to determine the center of gravity. Crane operators practice in this way to ensure safe transport.
Objects with sharp corners are transported using rubber or with steel ropes with elastic coating.
I'm sure I don't have to explain what will happen when damaged rope such as this is used. These must be discarded immediately.
Ropes, chains, hooks are only as strong as their weakest link.
Let's illustrate this with an example.
This applies to large cranes and small twists. Everyone needs to know the safety precautions. Damaged rope should not be used, and the rope must be protected from sharp corners of the object, and the weight of the object must be considered. Transport and methods of transport are as diverse as the fields of work that they are used in. We cannot know all the dangers that lurk behind our own company, much less remember all the safety precautions for other companies. However, we can keep in mind the basics. Proper passageways, clear field of vision, proper loading of objects onto transport vehicles, enlist the help of co-workers, gear up in the appropriate protective equipment. If these simple steps are followed, you'll be able to safely and securely finish your work day. In closing, I would like to talk about a special transport mechanism, namely the transportation you use as you are going home. Many workers lose their lives on the way to and from work, as they do in the workplace itself. You must not forget safety, even as you are leaving the workplace. If you leave safety in the workplace when you go home, all the safety measures and precautions you took have no meaning.
This is your safety. This is your life. Don't forget about safety as you commute to and from work.
Safety in the workplace or on the road isn't difficult. You just have to know what to do, and remember to do those things.